Hello and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast. My name is Laura and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our cat, and our rabbit. You can find me pretty much everywhere online as Tiny Human Knits, and I'll have links to all of my social media and everything else I talk about in the description box below this video. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. It is the 3rd of August today, so we're getting so close to fall time. I'm so excited. Just one more month until I can put out my fall decorations. I'm very excited. But it is actually Sunday today, which I do not normally film on a Sunday. And the only reason I'm filming today is A, I have so many random things to talk about. I have been working on everything. But also, Jason has sent himself away to a car show today, so I have the house to myself. He absolutely loves vintage cars. That's his niche. Mine's crafting, his is cars. I do not care for cars. I do not drive. I had a driver's license for many, many years, and then I accidentally let it expire, and that was 3 years ago. So I haven't driven a car for over 4 years, and I don't care to. I'm not good at it. I don't like doing it. It's fine. It's not my thing. Anyway, he's off there having a grand old time. He, if anyone cares or is interested in old cars, he has a 1949 Mercury. And I think the other one, that's the one he got that from his uncle right after I got the bowler from the same uncle, which is bonkers. But he has been building also, I don't quote me on this, I'm trying not to quote. It's a 1950 something Buick that he's building. Like, he bought two and he's sort of mashing them together into like a new one, and that's his pride and joy. But the Mercury is something he wanted since he was a kid, so he's having a great time with that. He's very excited. We keep joking that that's, you know, basically his version of having an affair. He spends all the time in the garage with his new car, which is fine by me. I don't mind it at all. But yeah, like I was saying, I've got so many things to talk about. I've just been crafting. I'm not even really finishing much. I have a couple finished things. None of them are knitting, but I just keep working on everything, and I have so much to show that I feel like if I wait any longer, it's just gonna literally pile up in my craft room and it's gonna be ridiculous. So we're filming today. That was a very long-winded way to say hello, it's Sunday. Anyway. So yeah, like I said, I don't have any finished objects that are knitting, but I'm gonna leave all of the other ones till the end because it's sewing and cross stitch. But I will talk about what I'm wearing, which is also one of my finished objects today. And this is an absolute delight. I love it so much. This is the Greenbrier dress, which I made for myself. I think I made it right after I filmed my last episode, because I think I made it on the Thursday and I filmed on a Wednesday, because on the Friday I was wearing this dress when I absolutely wiped out on the trail, and I scraped my knee like a 5-year-old trying to ride a bike for the first time. It's 2 weeks on now, and it's healing quite well. I don't know if you can see that, but I took a huge chunk of my knee off on the trail, and I remember I was wearing this dress. So yeah, I think I made it right after I filmed my last episode. But like I said, it is the Greenbrier dress. It is a pattern by Sew Liberated, and I love it so much. I've worn it already so much. I'm actually kind of I'm trying to curb my enthusiasm for it a little bit, because it's a pretty recognizable dress, and it feels like if I wear it too often, people might actually notice that I just wear the same thing all of the time. But I made this using the sleeve fabric that I used is a something I had in my stash. I bought it from Blackbird Fabrics, although I think the company that makes the fabric is the same for both of them. I want to say it's Fabulism, but I don't know if that's the brand name. I think it is. So it's a Fabulism, it's a woven cotton fabric. This, I don't remember what the collection name for the stripy one is, but the main body fabric that's sort of this biscuity color is called Sprout Wovens, and I absolutely adore it. I made my Ember dress out of the same fabric, and it's so comfortable to wear. It's such an easy fabric to work with, to sew, to overlock, to all of that kind of stuff. It's so forgiving when it comes to sewing. So honestly, I can 100% recommend the fabric. if you are new to sewing, it's really easy to work with. But I basically, so Meredith from Meredith Makes, who works for Sew Liberated, sent this pattern to me, actually, as a gift, and I'm so thankful. So thankful. And then I proceeded to basically copy what her version was, which is she used 2 different fabrics to make hers. Technically, the dress is written to be in one solid fabric, but hers, she didn't have enough fabric to make a full dress of either of the ones, so she put them together. And I saw hers, and I loved it so much that I basically just copied it. And I'm so happy I did. Because this looks so like cottagecore. It makes it look like you're wearing a little pinafore over a puffy sleeve shirt. And I love it so much. And actually, before I attached the skirt to the bodice portion, it had a real piratey vibe to it. So you could actually, I feel like you could make the top portion attach like an elasticated band around the bottom to make it nice and floofy, and then like put your piratey trousers over it, and I think that would make a really excellent version. But yeah, I did basically copy her just because I love the look of it so much. I went for the button loop version. I did not sew my button loops on correctly, and it was too late in the process before I noticed that, but they'll still work. I missed turning the loops one more time. And I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it also does not have buttons. I have a good reason for that though. I don't have any, and I haven't been able to get to the fabric store yet. So I don't have any buttons on it. So I actually just basted, I put a row of basting stitches right at the top just to keep it closed, and it's working just fine. And I will eventually get buttons for it. If anyone's been around here for a while, me and buttons have a weird relationship where I just refuse to sew them on things for some reason. The buttons for my cardigan that I knit for my nephew, if you've been here for a while, I can't find them. I meant to sit down and sew the buttons onto that cardigan or the little jacket, and I don't know where they are. So I just rearranged and organized all of these shelves so they're not there. And I thought they were. So I'm going to have to try and find them because I need to mail that cardigan off soon because it's almost fall. So I need to go find those buttons and sew them on. That's going to be my chore for today, is to do that. So anyway, what more can I say about this? This pattern came together super easily. There's not really anything in it that's complicated, I personally feel, and I'm not like super... I haven't been sewing garments for that long. I'm pretty confident in my sewing because I can just, anything I'm confused about, I'll just look up on YouTube, and I'm pretty okay with just going for it. So that's not really an issue for me. But if you've been doing a little bit of sewing, Sew Liberated patterns are amazing for their clarity, and they're just really good with explaining everything. So I can 100% recommend this pattern. It's got pockets, quite big pockets, and I really like that a lot. I've taken this dress on walks quite a bit, and I'll just shove a ball of yarn into a pocket and knit my socks while I'm walking. And love it so much. I've actually ordered more fabric to make a couple more of these because I wear it so much, and they're really easy to work in as well. And I've got a couple styles that they're gonna look very Halloween-y because I love that. So yeah, that's my first finished object, and I love it a lot. It also washes really well. I can just throw it in the washing machine because I'm a pretty sweaty gal, and it washes really well. I would eventually like to get a garment steamer though, because once it comes out of the dryer, it is a little bit wrinkly, and I don't really like having to get the iron out for that, so I should eventually get... Now I'm just rambling. Anyway, so I don't have any finished knitting things, but I do have quite a few works in progress. Basically all of them you've already seen. I've just been sort of flitting through one project to the other. I've really been enjoying the actual process of knitting lately. Like, I just like to be knitting something. I'm not really concerned about getting things finished that fast. I'm just liking the knitting aspect of it. So the first thing I've been working on is my Brighton Pullover, which is a sweater that I'm using the numbers for. It is technically an all-over cabled sweater, but I'm just doing it in straight stockinette on smaller needles. I have not worked at all on the body. It is exactly where I left it. But that shouldn't take too long. But what I do have is 2 finished sleeves. Ta-da! Because of the dark gray fabric, you can barely see anything, but here you go. It's got, there we go, we'll shove a big old sleeve into it. So the way that the top portion, it's got quite a shallow sleeve cap here, but that's actually because the body of the sweater, it decreases for the armhole, but then it actually increases again for the top where you connect the shoulders. And that makes it so that the armhole, it starts quite a bit further down, so you don't actually need as much space on the top there as you think you would, or I feel like I would. But hopefully this will fit Jason. He's got quite beefy arms, considering he's not a very large man, but he has very thick arms. And it's always so funny to me that his forearm measurement is the same as his bicep. He's just got shorter, thick arms. It's very funny. But I worried a little bit that this cuff would be too tight because it's a 1x1 rib, and I did it on 2.75mm needles, so it feels like it cinches up quite a lot, like even on me, but it has so much stretch to it that when I block it, I might actually pin it out to be a little bit more open, just because I don't want him to, I don't think it'll bother him because he wears a lot of long sleeve shirts that are quite form-fitting, so I think it should be okay. But this is turning out just so nice. Like I've really enjoyed the process of knitting this. 3mm needles, like I said before, is my favorite size needle. And this yarn is a pleasure to knit with. But yeah, I've got one with a label on it that says right sleeve because you do the decreases different on the left and right sleeve so that it fits. It's a very form-fitting garment. And I really hope it turns out. Because if it does, this could very well be one of the ones that he really likes and wants me to make him more of, because he and I actually have the same problem. He loves the fact that I'm quite warm most of the time, and so he overheats a lot in the things I've made before. So I need something a little bit lighter weight. So that's the first thing. I'm really I want to start working on this and get the body finished of the sweater, because I actually need these needles. So there's a baby sweater that I really want to make for a friend, and it's all over color work, and it's so cute, and I only have my 16-inch and my 32-inch 3mm needles free, and I need the 24, I think. Yeah, because it's a top down, and I don't want to have 16-inch needles with all of those stitches. So I need to finish that so I can work on something else that's 3mm. And then I also want to make little dresses for my friends' kids on 3mm needles. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? I just really like it a lot. So next up is my test knit that I'm working on. This is a test knit for Soomin, and I did not ask for the pronunciation. It's probably something different. My very North American way of pronouncing things is probably not right. But it's the Finch Sweater, which is the drop shoulder top, well, not top down. Technically top down. It's a drop shoulder, oversized, half fisherman's rib sweater of my dreams, and I'm so excited. So I am knitting this out of my own hand-dyed yarn. This is in the Scrappy Quilt colorway on DK Tweed, and this is how far I am at the moment. Attached to a bunch of yarn here. And it is so squishy. So I've already done, I don't know where I was before. I think I was a little bit past here, maybe? But I'm to the point where I've done a little bit of increasing, well, not even really, it's a couple stitches. You increase for the underarm, and then I'm just working straight down on the body for probably this stripe, another cream, and then another of the red. And then I think I have the ribbing at the bottom, because you have to remember too is half fisherman's rib stretches quite a bit, so I don't want it to be too long. Although If it's too long, that's also perfectly fine. But I'm knitting it on 4mm needles, and it's just going really, really well. And then you knit this all in pieces, but it's, you pick up stitches and knit it in sections. I should say not pieces. But you knit the back, and then you pick up the stitches for the fronts, then you knit those down, you connect them, and then you knit that until the ribbing, and then you just pick up the stitches for the sleeves on both sections, and you knit those flat, because half fisherman's rib knit flat is all knits on the wrong side, and then you do the texture on the right side, so it's a lot easier to just keep it, and then it's easier to keep your tension even as well, because I find for myself too, if I go into the round after doing flat, it is a little bit looser. But oh boy, am I excited for this. I am so looking forward to having this in the fall. I'm enjoying it so much. It's just part of my like easy knitting, because I can knit half fisherman's rib when I'm reading or watching something with subtitles, because I don't have to look at it, because you can really feel what you're doing, and I really, really like it. The deadline for that is the 31st of October, so I have plenty of time. I'm going to try to finish up a few things and then really concentrate on that one, because I just think it is divine. I love it so much. I love it so much. So my next work in progress is another pretty straightforward knit that you have seen before. It is my Kolorblok by Justyna Lorkowska, and I'm using my deconstructed fireside flannel. That's a colorway I had in my update for the Christmas and July update, and it is coming out so, so well. This pattern is so good for these sorts of, not really, it's kind of a gradient, but it's like not like a super faded gradient. It's perfect for that. It's so effective, and I'm really enjoying it. I was knitting on this, we went for a long drive on Tuesday because it was a beautiful day, and we just drove down to the coast, and it was such beautiful scenery that I really wanted to just work on something that I didn't have to look at all. I tried working on my book club cardigan when we were in the car, but those rows are now very, very, very long, and also I have to look at it because it's cables. So I thought it was a waste of beautiful scenery for me to work on that while we were driving. But I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles. I'm into the 6th color. So I'm using the two 10-gram mini skein sets that I borrowed from my shop update. It would be a lot nicer if it was 20-gram skeins, because having extra ends to weave in is not going to be like the most fun ever, but it's honestly not really an issue. But the only thing I've changed in this, and I mentioned this last time, is I'm doing the center double decrease as a stockinette stitch instead of a garter. Basically, the main thing you have to remember about that is just to purl that one stitch on the wrong side, which is really easy because you have the stitch marker right next to where you do that, so it's just like, it's in the same spot every time, so it's really easy to keep track of. And then the next couple colors that are going into this are going to be, it's going to go into greens, which I think is going to be so pretty. And I absolutely do not have time for it, but I do have another one planned. So I'm just making up mini skeins, and I keep making up combinations that will look really, really pretty. It's a really, really effective pattern, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I can see myself making quite a few more, just because they're so nice, and I feel like they'd be good gifts because they're a shape that lends itself to be more like a scarf than a shawl, because it's quite long and it's not too wide. So I feel like this might be one of the things that I make as a gift for a few people that I know. So I only have one other knitting work in progress that that I can show. I've got a couple of things that are like secrets, but I cast on a pair of socks because, so I mentioned last time that I wanted to make a proper advent calendar this year with the a sock set for the 4 Sundays before Christmas, which is a proper Advent. Advent is that. The 24-day countdown is a countdown calendar, not an advent calendar. But I really wanted to do a sock set for the 4 Sundays before Christmas, and I was going to do them based on the season. So there was going to be a spring one, a summer one, fall, and then winter. And then I kind of played with the idea of having where it was an option. So instead of fall, you could pick Halloween, and then instead of winter, you could pick Christmas. But I made the Halloween one and I liked it so much that I would like to release it this year and not have to have it in like a surprise thing. So I think what I'm going to do is just keep it to be the seasonal colorways. So I dyed all of the ideas for the seasons that I had in my head, and they all turned out almost exactly what I was hoping. So I did like little samples of all of the ones that I dyed, and all of them need like the tiniest little tweaks. So I need to dye them again. Unfortunately, I ran out of bare yarn, so I put in an order last week. It should be coming this week. So I'll be able to re-dye them and get them like perfect. So that's something that, you know, I don't know exactly when I'll be selling those or how many. It'll depend on how much I can get done. I don't know if it'll be a pre-order so much as just like couple week lead time thing. I shouldn't even be saying anything. I don't have any of the details yet, but I would like to have those available in October maybe, and then ship them out in November, because I love the idea of it. I need to check when the actual Sundays are actually, but I am so excited because it's basically exactly what I wanted them to be, and that usually doesn't happen. I usually have to try like 4 or 5 times to get something exactly the way I want it to be. So I'm really, really excited about it. But anyway, so all of those needed to be re-dyed. So I actually didn't have any socks on my needles for walking around knitting. So I have a couple skeins of this actually. So I had one of these skeins of West Yorkshire Spinners. This is their Sparkle 4-ply in the Nutcracker colorway. And then my friend Rosie, who lives in Scotland, we send each other like Christmas parcels, and we have almost every year for, I swear, almost a decade. I've never met her in person, but we have this little thing where we send each other Christmas presents all the time. And she sent me one that was exactly the same. And when I had 200 grams of this color, I thought to myself, I can finally knit socks for my friend Rowan, because that man has gigantic feet. They are based on the measurements that I've had from quite a few years ago, and I can't imagine his feet have grown, but they are 12 inches long and 11 3/4 inches in circumference. He's got big old feet. So I figured if I have 200 grams of this color, I can actually make him a decent sized pair of socks. So I cast on 2.25 millimeter needles, 80 stitches, which I have made him little, like what I call half mast socks. They only go halfway up his feet because he's a weirdo, and he at the end of the day would pull his socks off his feet until they were just around, like just up until like here, and then just walk around the house with his socks like flopping around. So I have made him little socks that only go halfway up his foot, and those were 80 stitches. So I cast on 80 stitches, and because I really want them to fit, I am making them a 2x2 rib all the way down. And this is what I have so far. I really, really hope they fit. I was measuring Jason, because he doesn't have tiny feet. He doesn't have huge feet, but he doesn't have tiny feet. I was measuring around his ankle to make sure that these would fit, and like, they will be absolutely fine. But I want to make them quite long. I'm almost to the point of putting in a heel, I think. And I think I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset just because that seems like the safest option. But yeah, that's how much I've got. It's about 7 inches. And it is quite stretchy. But I wanted them to fit really well. So I'm going to do rib. And then I'll just do stockinette on the bottom of the foot when I get to that. But this is knitting up surprisingly quickly. And because there's so many stitches, the colors actually change quite fast. So that's always fun too. But yeah, I really, really like these, and they're really sparkly. It's a 75-23-2, so it's 75% wool, 23% nylon, and 2% polyester. So, which I think is great. So I'll probably knit one sock from this ball and one sock from this, depending on what the actual weight of the sock ends up being. But I'll have enough left over that I can make his wife, Brittany, a matching pair of socks. Either that or I make his 2 children pairs of socks. They're only wee. They're 2 and 4, I think. And then I could make Brittany a different pair. Because I actually knit her quite a few socks, but I've never actually knit him a full pair of socks because he's huge. He's a very tall man. He's also the nicest person I've ever met in my life. But yeah, I've just been using these for walk-in knitting. I keep telling myself I should probably save them for when we go to there's a flea market in a town near here the weekend, not this following weekend, but like mid-August. And I always like to have a really good knitting project, mindless knitting project for when we go to that, because there's a lot of things to look at and I need something else to do. But that is what I've been knitting on. Again, I've just been really enjoying just knitting for fun. There's no deadlines, there's no rush, there's no nothing. I just want to knit things, and it's been really, really fun. But a couple of other things I've been working on, some finished objects, is I finished a cross stitch for the first time in a very, very long time. So a long time ago, lost my favorite cross stitch needle. I like a really long cross stitch needle, and I had this one that I used for everything, and I loved it so much, and I could not find it. I checked all of my project cases, bags that had cross stitch projects in them, could not find it for the life of me. And then the other day, I was at my sewing machine, and I have this little knitted pumpkin that sits in a ceramic bowl, and that's where I usually put my glass head pins. And I was thinking, I wouldn't be half surprised if there weren't a bunch of needles in that pumpkin. So I took out all the glass head pins, and I very, very carefully, because it's just filled with polyfill, I very carefully just kind of squeezed it and tried to find all of the needles in it. There were 6 needles in there. Most of them were what I use for sewing down binding on quilts, but there were a few that were like actual sewing needles, like regular sewing needles. And then there it was, my favorite cross stitch needle. And I could tell it was that one because it's kind of bent because I used it so much. Anyway, I found it, and I was so excited that I grabbed one of my cross stitch whips and I finished it. And I sat for like 8 hours straight and I finished it. I'm so excited. So this is the one I finished. I don't remember what the pattern is called, but it is a Witchy Stitcher pattern, and I love it so much. It's so cute. So basically all of the black work that's in here, I finished in one go because I was so excited and I was enjoying it so much. I really find when I'm cross stitching, when I'm really into it, I will sit there, and there doesn't even have to be anything playing, like no music or anything, and I'll just sit there in silence and cross stitch, and I love it. So I just need to put it in a frame. I already washed it. I need to iron it and then put it in a frame, and I think I'm going to use this one. I get a lot of my funky frames from HomeSense because they always have the weirdest selection of frames, and I am a huge fan of a frame. I honestly think if someone just got me a box filled with weird frames as a gift, I would be like, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted, because I'll find something to put in it. Because I really like a busy wall. I like a lot of things on the walls. I don't like things on shelves like trinketry, but I love pictures, paintings, drawings, cross stitches on the walls. I like it a lot. So, my 2 other finished objects that I have today are 2 more quilts that I finished, that I bound and washed. Since the last time, I only have 1 more quilt that needs binding, and that one's only small, so it shouldn't take me long. But the first one is this one, which is absolutely huge. It is my Inner Beauty quilt. This is a pattern by Southern Charm Quilt, I think. And I love it so much. It's so heavy because the backing I chose is actually quite a thick fabric. I didn't realize that. But I love it so much. So this is the one that I made. It is a deceptively easy pattern. It looks a lot more involved and intense when you're looking at the pattern pictures. I thought it was going to be way more complicated. Pardon me. And then when I actually got down to it, it's basically, I mean, half of it is just solid squares of fabric. So you've got that going for you. But then most of it, it's very simple. It's just straight line quilting. The most difficult part about it is the sawtooth stars, which are easy. There is nothing difficult about those. Except for me trimming. Sometimes I make mistakes, but that's okay. But this is the one I made with a fat quarter set that I had bought because I didn't have enough of any of the fabrics like that would go together that would work for every one of the squares. So I used the fat quarter set and just supplemented with some solid colors. So one of the best places you can see that actually is these squares here. They're very, very simple, like just blocks put together. There's 4 different fabrics in this line of squares that are the same background color, but they have different patterns on them. So this fat quarter set was quite a big one. So there was plenty of the same color fabrics in each section. So I just used those. And this pattern is really easy to tell how much you need of everything. Here's a good example as well. These solid sections. It's 4 different patterns, but they all have a black background. And I just think that's so effective. And then I used a couple more of the fat quarters to do the binding. I just sewed a bunch of fat quarters together and cut strips out. And I think that works really well too. And it got a good, like, I think I got 3 fat quarters out of that. I have very little of this fabric left after doing the binding, actually. I love this pattern. Again, it's so effective. I would honestly think if you were a very adventurous beginner, this could be one of your first quilts quite easily because, again, there's nothing overly complicated about it. And if you used like solid pieces of fabric, it would be even easier because this had a little bit of an element of like trying to keep track of the fabrics that I had cut out for it. But yeah, if you use solids or solid pieces, then you'd be absolutely fine. I love it so much. It's so big. Then I use this like paisley fabric for the backing. Not the softest, but I think it'll be really good for wintertime on top of a duvet. It'll be so nice and heavy, and I think it's gonna be so pretty. And it's so effective. I absolutely adore that quilt. I would not be half surprised if I made another one, and I also wouldn't be half surprised if I used another fat quarter set for it because beautiful. It's beautiful. I loved it. I made that one in 3 days, I think. I remember. It was a very fast, surprisingly fast. I was really into it. And then the second one I finished. I don't remember the name of this. I can see the pattern, like front page in my mind, but I cannot remember what it's called. That's okay. This one is so light and delightful, and it's got threads in it, because of course it does. I'm not going to be able to get that with my fingers. I'll have cutaways of both of these quilts so that you can see them better. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see them because they're both quite big and I'm quite short, but this one is just fab. This is almost like the spring version of that being the autumn version, but this one is so... It's quite a bit lighter. I think it's basically the same size, but it's quite a bit lighter because this one, the quilt top was quite light. A lot of these fabrics on the top I bought from Daily Like Canada, which is a fabric company. I believe they're out of BC. And a lot of their cottons are really lightweight. They're almost more meant for garments than they are for quilting. So they're really light and really soft. So the quilt top was almost... It was actually a bit see-through because it was so delicate, and I was worried about it after like being quilted. I was worried about it kind of falling apart, but it's actually come out so well, and I'm really, really happy with this. My mother-in-law, who does all my long arm quilting, when she sent these all back to me, she said this one was her favorite. But she already has 3 of my quilts, so I don't know if I need to be sending her any more. I do need to maybe shift a few of the ones that I have. Not that one, not the Inner Beauty. That one's for me, always. But this one, as much as I love it, I can see letting go of it, maybe selling it or using it as a fundraiser or something like that. I've been thinking about doing something like that, doing a fundraiser, selling something like this for Gaza relief, really, because, oh my god, how are we all still doing whatever? But this one, it was really fun to make. This one's actually almost a 4-year-old quilt top as well. I was one of the first things I made after we moved here, which was almost 4 years ago, which is so strange. But yeah, it was sitting for a long time and I decided I needed to get it finished. So those are the ones that are finished, complete. I can fold them up and put them away. And I am almost done the one for my sister, which I will show you now. This is the Holiday Party. I want to say it's by Susie Quilts, but this pattern, I showed it last time I had a couple blocks done. I am done all of the blocks now. There are 16 blocks, I think. And that's this design here. And oh, I love them so much. I feel like I might have had that one done already, but so yeah, I finished all of the blocks. There's 8 different varieties, so it's 8 different patternings. And I finished all of them. The only reason it's not done yet is because I haven't had a chance to lay them out and decide on the order, on the layout. So this is a pattern that I am making for my sister Irene. She turned 40 this year, and I haven't made her a quilt yet. And these are very much her colors, very mauve, pink, purples, stuff like that. Actually, when Jason saw me with these on my desk, he's like, this isn't like you. And I'm like, it's not for me. Most of these are from a fat quarter set. I can't remember what it was called, but I did supplement a little bit with my own fabric. And I just think they're so pretty. They're very effective. This is, I know I always say things are easy, but this is generally like, I don't know if I've ever, this is one of my neatest quilts that I've made because of the way that the pattern is written. It makes it really easy to match up everything that you're doing. I love quilts where you have to trim your blocks before you sew them together, because I just feel like you get more accuracy that way. And the instructions in this, I thought when I first saw the picture that it was going to be really annoying, because with all those thin strips, I thought it would screw me up. I am a little bit not very good at doing like strip piecing or anything like that. But this has come together so well, and it is, I'm really, really happy with it. So I just need to lay them all out, decide the order, and then sew them together with the sashing, and then I'll be done. And then I can send it off to be quilted for her, because I want this to be a Christmas gift. And I'm really looking forward to it. And this pattern, actually, I realized the other day, so each block has 2 different prints in it, and you do have to cut your fabric a little bit differently based on which one you're doing. And this, it's about a 19-inch square, and I figured that you could very easily change the pattern a little bit to be 5 columns by 5 rows, which would make 25 squares. And so I was thinking about cutting out a countdown calendar quilt for myself, where I could cut out 25 different versions of like the way you cut this color, and then 25 different ways you cut out this color, and then I could pick at random one of each and then make a block every day in December. And then by the end of December, I'd have a quilt top ready. Because apparently I've decided that I need to take December off, to just do countdown calendar and advent calendar things, because I also ordered the Cozy Knitter 24 stripe countdown calendar skein for the first time. I've never done it before. And then I also want to make a mini skein countdown calendar, and I already have the sweater pattern picked out for that. So apparently this December, all I'm going to be doing is working on countdown stuff. Oh, and I also wanted to do, I have a pattern for a cross stitch one as well. So if I can get all my ducks in order, in a row, maybe I'll do that. All December will just be countdown calendar stuff. We'll see. That might absolutely not happen. I have no idea. With the way things are going, with the new tariffs that have been put onto Canadian goods entering the United States, and the fact that Canada Post looks like it's going to be striking again, I have no idea what's going to be happening with my yarn dyeing business and all that. I'm trying not to think about it too much because it's going to drive me absolutely loony. But we're just out here doing what we can. But I really, really enjoyed putting those blocks together. I found them really, really therapeutic, because it's just, the process of doing that is there's a good rhythm in it, because I just did one selection of blocks at a time. I didn't try to do them all at once, because I'm realizing now that I don't really like doing that. Like, doing a couple blocks at a time is really easy for me, because I can see it coming together and it doesn't feel as daunting. And then you don't have to spend 3 hours straight just trimming blocks. But yeah, I've got a couple other quilts that I really would like to start working on. And also I want to cut out a few more, because I told my sister Dana, who someone mentioned, she's famous here, I mention her every time. I told her that I would cut out a quilt for her to sew together, because she has 2 little children. She would love to quilt, but she just does not have the time and the energy to be cutting out quilts. Because I know a lot of people don't like cutting out, like that's the part of it that they don't particularly care for. I don't mind it at all. So I told her I would cut her out a quilt, and so that she could just sew it together. And I found a fat quarter set that is absolutely perfect for her. So I'm going to do that soon, I think. I'm really prepared for Christmas, because I told her that was going to be a Christmas present. That's basically what I've got going on. Anyways, that is it for now. Next time we'll probably have just as many things to show you. I hope I can get a few of these things finished, but until then, I hope you all have a good week and take care of yourself.